We're coming to you live from our studios at John Hammond Street at Desawa here in Accra. Live on our numerous affiliates across the country and on 3news.com. Also live on Facebook is 3FM 92.7. You can go onto Facebook and follow closely what we're going to be talking about in the next 60 minutes. I am Alfred Ocansey. This evening, ousted minority leader courts controversy within Parliament as the new NDC minority after he raised objections to the new sitting arrangement in the plenary while proceedings was ongoing to sit with the majority side during parliamentary sittings today. We'll give you details of that. But take a listen to what happened today in Parliament.
Whether I should take over from Honorable Collins Dowda or not. And I've told them that Honorable Collins Dowda is senior by age, senior even to this house. I will not fit into his chair.
We have full details of what happened today, what appears to be the disagreement still over the leadership reshuffle by the largest opposition party in Parliament. Stay with us. With some 24 hours to the expiration of the deadline for the domestic debt exchange participation, we'll hear from Pension Bondholders Forum, who also have been continuously picketing at the Finance Ministry for the past 4 days. The National Catholic Bishops' Conference is also expected to mobilize people from the conflict-hit Boko in the Upper East region to picket at the Jubilee House over the unresolved conflict. We have these and more for the next 1 hour. Also in business today.
Agitating bondholders expect Parliament to intervene in the domestic debt restructuring controversies as Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta appears before the House over the program Tuesday.
Stay with us. Juliana Menu Afo comes up with the business news later on here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Remember, we're live on Facebook, 3FM and 92.7. Now, it appears the controversy surrounding the leadership of reshuffle of the minority in Parliament is far from over after outset minority leader Haruna Idrisu today rejected the seat offered him by the new leadership. Now, guess what? A Tamale South member of Parliament on the floor of the House openly lamented the absence of a seat for him following his removal as the minority leader, taking over the seat of the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osei-Owusu. And just bear in mind, Joseph Osei-Owusu is an NPP MP. And so what happened today in Parliament, and if you go onto our Facebook page shortly, we'll show you videos of exactly what transpired in Parliament today. Haruna Idrisu crossed over to the majority side or the NPP side in Parliament to take a seat. And I'll take a listen to how things transpired earlier today.
Speaker, I'm speaking from your seat and indulge me to do so, to speak to the adoption of the convention referred to as the Niamey Convention. And Mr. Speaker, in doing so, to refer you to page 9 of your committee's report. So, Mr. Speaker, forgive me that I have to assume your chair. There was whether I should take over from Honorable Collins Dowda or not. And I've told them that Honorable Collins Dowda is senior by age, senior even to this house. I would not fit into his chair as somebody who is well trained from home. So any other chair, Mr. Speaker, acceptable to me. I'm still the elected member of Parliament for Tamale South. I thank you.
Well, so that's Haruna Idrisu there, just reminding us all of his position as Member of Parliament. Now, let's bring in our parliamentary correspondent, Komla Kluche. He was present throughout the sitting today. Komla, walk us through what we just heard. And did Haruna Idrisu walk straight to that seat on the NPP side in Parliament?
So I'm going to give a background to this and take it from Tuesday when the House reconvened after they had gone for the Christmas break. And I mean, following the reshuffle, that it did for the minority leadership, and where, not just him, Haruna Idrisu, but also the other leaders who worked with him would sit. The clerk to parliament, together with the whips on the minority side, went into the chamber on Monday to do what is called reallocation of seats and all that. What was offered Haruna Idrisu first on Monday, to which on Tuesday he came and confirmed it, was on the seat that is currently occupied by Collins Dauda. He sits so close to the Zebila MP,
That's
Cletus
Cletus
Avoka.
Avoka.
Now, that seat, or that particular front seat, is given to people who have been former leaders in the House. Cletus Avoka is a former leader. Colin Dauda is not a former leader, but by virtue of the fact that he is the senior most amongst all of them, he sits there. He used not to sit there though, but after the 8th, the commencement of this particular parliament has made him to occupy that particular seat. So Haruna, when he was told that, he left the House ostensibly as rejection of that particular seat, which he confirmed in the lamentations that he made today. Now, after he rejected it, the new leadership offered him another seat again, which is directly behind the minority leader, Dr. Kesela Tuforsen, a seat which is occupied by Rashid Pelpo. Haruna, when he entered into parliament this morning, sat in that particular chair.
I see.
He sat in that chair.
That chair that was offered him behind.
The new one that was offered him, which actually also has his name tag affixed to it, from my understanding.
That's behind Dr. Kesela Tuforsen.
Directly behind him. And it's a seat that is occupied, or that used to be occupied until the change now. It's a seat that has been occupied by Rashid Pelpo. So that is the new reallocation that was done. And he confirmed it by sitting in that particular chair. He sat in it whilst the speaker himself was chairing the proceedings. And then after the speaker handed over to the deputy speaker and left the chamber to attend to administrative matters, then he moved from that seat, walked towards some colleague minority MPs, exchange greetings and all that with them. And then he moved towards where the deputy speaker was. At the time, the deputy speaker was in the chair. He was chairing. So he had to ask for permission to speak from his place. And if you look at the location, the deputy speakers, the first one is an MPP MP. The second one is an independent one, but chooses to do business with the MPP side. So many consider that as an MPP side. But then if you look at it, on the face of it, it's clearly in the middle, directly facing the speaker.
That's the former MPs.
Yes, seat. So he sat on the seat of Joe Wise. That was where he had to speak.
I see. But then again, you chronicle how things should have been. To the extent that he occupied the seat that was allocated to him officially. At what point then did he move now to occupy Jose Wusu's seat and make the submission in Parliament, as we heard him, and the explanation that he gave as to why he had moved from his official seat to Jose Wusu's seat to make that presentation in Parliament?
That is what is the shocker, because if you even look at the reaction of the minority leadership, the new leadership, to the comment that he made. In fact, when he drew the speaker's attention that he wanted to make a comment or to contribute to the report, then he sought for permission from him. When he sought for the permission, then that was where the reaction on the face of the new minority, the deputy minority leader, Amakofi Bua, changed. And then I saw the minority chief whip, Kwame Agboja, also had a look on his face because they were surprised that he had to speak from that side. But it's not anything that is it's new. Normally,
I see.
but what the speakers do is that if you are not on your seat, they will ask you to go back. And surprisingly, this was coming. This permission was coming from Joe Wise. He is, for want of a better word, notorious for telling people, resume your seat,
Absolutely.
or I will not allow you to make a comment.
But that did not happen.
But yes, because maybe that respect was offered to the former minority leader, he allowed it, and then he contributed to the report, and finally had to now explain why he had to make the comments there, which was a shock. It drew a lot of shock on the face of the new minority leadership. Dr. Keselato Forson was not around. He had gone to court. He has a case in court.
That's right.
But his deputy, Amakofi Boa, was there together with the minority chief whip. So quickly, the minority chief whip had to move towards him, and then the deputy majority leader, Alexander Peño Marquez, as well, all in an attempt to find a solution to the lamentation that he came to actually express. But my understanding is that the seat he occupied before moving towards the second deputy speaker's, the deputy speaker's side, is actually the seat that has been offered
to him,
properly so communicated to him.
Kamala Kluche is our chief parliamentary correspondent, and if you just joined us, this is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. This is what we've been talking about. Haruna Idrisu occupying the seat of the first deputy speaker of parliament, Jose Usu, to make a submission in parliament today, contributing to a statement from the Foreign Affairs Ministry.
Speaker, I'm speaking from your seat, and indulge me to do so, to speak to the adoption of the convention referred to as the Niamey Convention. And Mr. Speaker, in doing so, to refer you to page 9 of your committee's report. So, Mr. Speaker, forgive me that I have to assume your chair. There was whether I should take over from Honorable Collins Dowda or not. And I've told them that Honorable Collins Dowda is senior by age, senior even to this house. I would not fit into his chair.
Okay, so Dr. Rashid Rahman is the Executive Director of the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. He's joining us on the telephone. Dr. Rashid Rahman, you've watched and listened to how things transpired today. What's your own reading of what Haruna Idrisu decided to do, refusing to assume the seat of Collins Dowda, explained why, but eventually had to cross over, sit in the seat of the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Jose Usu, who was presiding over the business of the House?
Alfred, I think it looks like what we've been saying all along over the last couple of weeks, that this reshuffle and its aftermath, of course, first of all, it wasn't handled properly. I think we've said this enough. One was hoping that the mending process at least would have been such that some mistakes wouldn't be made to further deepen the cracks. But, I mean, what we saw today clearly indicates that I think this is not over yet. And again, I think I have said this, Haruna is, I mean, no ordinary MP and no ordinary politician. He has a very wide national appeal, and I think even within the ranks of the majority, he's very, very well respected and very, very well liked. And I think his party has to be very, very careful in making sure that, if they come out and say this matter is resolved, it is resolved, and it's just not like they are avoiding the very important issues that need to be addressed.
I see. But then, from the indication that my colleague, Kamala Kluche, was a parliamentary correspondent, gave us earlier, and I'm sure you were listening, that there's a seat that has been allocated to Haruna Idrisu already with his name affixed on it, which is behind the current minority leader, Dr. Kesla Toforson, right behind him. He assumed that seat when he walked in, but then when it was time for him to make his contribution on the floor, he decided to move to another seat.
Well, I mean, I heard him apart from what Komla said. I mean, he played the voice of the man himself, and he said, I told them that I cannot take this seat. So I think that even if he had assumed that seat, perhaps he just did that for the purposes of maybe recording his presence in the House.
So for you, at least with what we've seen today, in your own understanding, is an indication that, well, they haven't resolved all the issues surrounding the reshuffle?
Well, I mean, that is my reading. I mean, that is my reading. Because, look, this is a man who has served his party very well. This is a man who has done things that we haven't seen before in this country. Yes, the party has the right to choose whoever becomes the leader in parliament, as you have been telling us over and over. But I think some modicum of respect for a personality like Haruna, I think is in order, just so that they can put this matter behind them. But if the party continues to behave like, well, we have talked about it, we have made our decision, and we will just move on. I have said over and over that even, at the level of parliamentary candidates over the years, we've seen instances where parties would make decisions. I mean, they have the right to, in terms of who leads or who represents the flag of the party in a particular constituency. And we saw over the years the consequences of some of those decisions. And I'm just amazed that, I mean, politicians are not learning from this, particularly Alfred. This is a government in waiting. This is not a party that is in power right now. This is a party that is trying to project itself as a government in waiting and trying to endear itself to Ghanaians. It's a game of numbers, and individuals who wield a lot of following, wield a lot of sympathy, and wield a lot of charisma, I think have to be treated, with a lot of care.
Dr. Rashid Rahman, I thank you so much for your time on Hot Edition. We'll see how things play out in the coming days, but thank you very much. Dr. Rashid Rahman is Executive Director of the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Komla, you see, the benefit you bring to all of this is your own observation of the body language, the facial expression of the new leadership of the minority when Haruna Idrisu moved from that seat right behind Dr. Kesla Toforson to occupy Jose Wustu's seat, clearly on the side of the NPP, and make his presentation or his contribution on the floor of the House. Now, that body language, the facial expression that he observes on the part of, that's the new minority leadership in the persons of Emmanuel Amakofibua, as well as Gavin Kwame Abuja, suggests to you that they were uncomfortable in any way about what Haruna Idrisu was doing.
Yeah, of course. It made it. Well, I mean, it took them by surprise, especially when they knew that all the arrangements have been done and accorded him all the respect that he needed to. Of course, they clearly could not have done or have assumed the seat or their new role without also, so to speak, allocating to him a seat that has been offered him. Now, if you listen to Haruna Idrisu himself, he admits that a seat has been allocated to him to which he rejected.
True.
Which is the Collins Zauder one. And, for want of a better word, that's a prestigious seat. Not many people sit there. very, very senior most members of the minority or that side do sit at that place. So yes, he admits that it was made to him, to which he rejected. But then this was on Tuesday, we understand. So they have gone ahead to make a reallocation. And he hasn't. Yesterday he didn't come to Parliament. I didn't see him in the chamber yesterday. Muntaka as well, I didn't see him yesterday. Both of them were in Parliament on Tuesday, and then just for a short while, and then they left. Yesterday they didn't come. Today both of them came again. But when Muntaka came today, he sat and he was quiet. He sat at wherever has been allocated to him, and the videos are all there as to where all of them have been allocated seats. They so to speak sat there until Haruna Idrisu made this lamentations, and you could clearly tell that the new leaders were surprised about it. You can see worry on their faces, especially when they felt, okay, if there was anything, most probably he could have reached out to them maybe through another channel instead of making a public statement on this. So some have even described it as it's more or less of undermining them as leaders. But it's already gone on. I've spoken to them, and they said they were not going to make any statement on this any further. But then, whatever the issue is, it has been solved according to them. Even though they will not speak on record, they said it's no issue at all, and that it's been solved.
We'll see how things play out. And Komla, thank you so much. That's Komla Klochi, Chief Parliamentary Correspondent, giving us details of what happened in Parliament today here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Former Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu says he cannot accept the new seat allocated to him in Parliament because it belongs to his senior, the Honorable Collins Dauda. Since he was removed as leader, his seat in the House has been taken over by his successor, Dr. Kesla Tufosin. Haruna Idrisu was asked to take over the seat of the Member of Parliament for Sotifi South, Collins Dauda, but he refused to do so, and he explained why. And guess what? The position of that seat as well, that's also what Komla Kloche brought to the whole conversation, stoked a lot of speculation as to exactly what could have been the reason why Haruna Idrisu, with that Collins Dauda seat located right behind Dr. Kesla Tufosin, decided rather to cross over to the NPP side and occupy the seat of Joe Osei-Wusu, first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, who was presiding over the business of the House.
In doing so, to refer you to page 9 of your committee's report. So, Mr. Speaker, forgive me that I have to assume your chair. There was whether I should take over from Honorable Collins Dauda or not. And I've told them that Honorable Collins Dauda is senior by age, senior even to this House. I would not fit into his chair as somebody who is well trained from home. So any other chair, Mr. Speaker, acceptable to me. I'm still the elected member of Parliament for Tamarisa. I thank you.
Issue. We are not interested. We've worked. Personally, I've never traveled outside. I've worked all my life here. And I've invested the little I was paid into bonds so that I'll get coupons to keep me and my grandchildren going. If I'm blocked from this income, how will I survive? Our main source of income, you want to take it away from us. So it means you are forcing us to die. That's what I'm saying, that I will not forgive him in life after death. If there's something like that exists, I wouldn't, because here on earth, they are just using by force means to rule us.
Those were some of the pensioners or individual bondholders. They've been picketing at the premises of the finance ministry for the past 4 days. Stay with us. You're going to be hearing a number of them sharing with us their ordeal and what they've been going through over the last 4 days, and upon the announcement that pensioners, in fact, are included in this domestic debt exchange program. Remember, tomorrow is the deadline for this domestic debt exchange program. What they are asking for is a total exemption from the domestic debt exchange program. We were there today at the finance ministry's premises where the pensioners have been picketing, and they have a number of things to share with us. Take a listen.
The others, how many people are contributing towards the nation? Only the pensioners who have worked. We've paid taxes on our salaries. We've paid taxes on things that we buy. As at now that we are supposed to be resting, is it only our sweat that can build the country? What about the minister's salary? What about the SS's ministers, deputy ministers, what have you? And they are all taking salaries. They are all using V8. We came here on Monday, one of the V8, the engine was on when there was nobody inside. Look, this is the state we are running the country. A minister's car, the engine is always on till the minister or whoever comes to sit in, running on fuel. At whose cost? So we say they should cut expenses and nothing happens.
Dr. Edu Anane Enchi is the leader of this Pensioners Bondholders Forum and also a former Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. Dr. Edu Anane Enchi joins the telephone. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Enchi. Great. This is day 4 of your picketing. Have you heard anything from the ministry or the minister, for that matter, as to whether there's a consideration of you being totally exempted as you're asking for?
No, we haven't heard anything apart from the first day. On the first day that we tried to meet him and we couldn't get him until we have left the place. Almost everybody was gone. We heard that he wanted to speak with us, so we got only 5 people to meet with him and hear what he wanted to tell us. And he said what he said for the press to know, that the offer the government is giving us is good and that we should accept. And we are saying that is not what we want. We want to be exempted completely from the program.
I see. And after that said meeting, this was on Monday, correct?
Yes.
I see. And every day you see him coming to the office, going to work?
Yeah, I think the next day, Tuesday, we wanted to have a chat with him for some information, especially when he's saying if pensioners do not join, the program will fail. We wanted a supporting information to support that assertion. So we tried to have a meeting with him. It was difficult. The whole 1 hour that we were there, the PR tried to get a meeting for us. According to him, he wasn't getting the secretary. So at the end of the day, we had to leave the place. By the time that we were leaving, we had some engagement with the chief director who said if we needed any information, we think that we should submit a letter, bring a letter to the minister, and they will give us the information. So we say, well, if we have to bring a letter, this is not a question, a matter of bringing a letter. There's a crisis on your hands, and we want to look at what you are saying and see how we'll go forward, and you think that we have to bring a letter before we can even get the information, and let it be. And so we continue with our picketing.
I see, but tomorrow is a deadline. In fact, the letter communicating the decision to extend this deadline for the domestic exchange program, according to the finance minister, a number of the individual bondholders have been signing on, in fact, which put so much pressure on the IT infrastructure, which led them to extend the deadline. Have you got any indication from any of your members that they are signing on to this domestic debt exchange program as communicated by the finance minister in the statement?
Well, individuals are not only the pensioners who are holding bonds, or other individuals are also holding bonds. So people are signing on, it should be expected. I have personally not been informed by any of our members that they have signed on. Again, we have only 450 members on our platform. We cannot get all pensioners who are holding government bonds in the country on our platform. That is why it's important that we normally get messages through the press for them to hear what is happening. But no matter what you do, you can't get the information to everybody who is a pensioner and holding government bonds. So it is possible some pensioners would be signing on because they don't even know somebody is fighting for them for an exemption. But I have personally not been informed by any of the people that are converging at the place on daily basis, or people that are not even coming but part of who are on the platform. I haven't heard anyone telling to. Nobody has told me they have signed on.
I see. If by close of day tomorrow, if you do not get what you're asking for, a total exemption from the domestic debt exchange program, what next for you, the Pensions Individual Bondholders Forum?
Well, this is not new to us. The original timetable, the closure of the invitation was Tuesday, and we didn't take it. And we went there on Wednesday, only to hear that it has been extended. So the extension is not what we are looking for. Whether it's ended or it's extended, we are still asking for an exemption, and we will keep on converging at the ministry's premises until we get that exemption.
But the minister is expected in Parliament, all things being equal, next Tuesday. Do you intend to petition Parliament as well, or go to Parliament on the said day to, as it were, bring to Parliament's own attention your concerns and demands?
We, under cover of a letter, we send the petition a copy of the petition to Parliament, so they are aware. And we are also happy that Parliament mentioned yesterday or so that they are summoning the minister to appear. And it was comforting when the Speaker said they cannot allow or sit down, as it were, and watch the elderly picketing at the ministry. So it's an urgent matter that the minister should come to Parliament and deal with it. So we are happy Parliament is stepping in to see what can be done. So we will be there on Monday. Tomorrow we are going. Saturday, Sunday is not a working day, so we will take a rest. Monday, God's willing, we'll be there. But on Tuesday, we will not go to the ministry. We will go to Parliament, not to picket, but to observe proceedings, to go and see for ourselves, hear for ourselves what the minister will be telling Parliament and what Parliament's reaction, response, and whatever plans Parliament have for it, move forward, for us to see what Parliament is doing. And then that will inform any decision that we have to make, either to continue with the picketing or not, if we get something that we say we can hold on to. So we shall be there on Tuesday and see what Parliament would say after the minister has appeared before Parliament.
Dr. Edouard Anienche, thank you for your time. We'll see how things the coming days will look like. Dr. Edouard Anienche is the leader of the Pensioners Individual Bondholders Forum. They're one of three individual bondholders groups resisting their inclusion in the domestic debt action program. Tomorrow's the deadline. Now, he's leading a number of pensioners to picket at the premises of the finance ministry. They've been there for the last 4 days. I was there earlier today to interact with a number of them. And this is an 81-year-old medical doctor, a retired medical practitioner, who shared with me what has been happening to him after the announcement of their inclusion in the domestic debt action program as pensioners.
Samuel Amakwe.
Dr. Samuel Amakwe. And how old are you?
I'm 81 years old.
You're 81 years old. A medical doctor?
Medical. I was a medical practitioner, private medical practitioner, and retired in 2017.
You retired in 2017, and you decided to invest.
Yes, because I know I had a kidney problem, and it's already at the end, and it will come. It will come tomorrow, any time. You are invested for it. That's why I bought. Now it's about to. It's maturing in September 2023, and I need this money to look after myself. So actually, I want exemption because I can't participate in this. And wait, I'm 81. How can I wait for 5 years more? I can't. So I'm asking for exemption, full exemption.
And you're saying you have a kidney problem.
I have a kidney problem, fourth stage.
Fourth stage kidney
Program, yes.
That's serious.
It's serious. And if you sit on this money, how can I look after them? How can I do the dialysis is expensive? Drugs are expensive. Drugs I'm using very expensive. In a month, I spent so many thousands of cedis to buy drugs.
And so you invested this money hoping that you get some money to buy your medicines while you are...
Correct. And dialysis. I knew I'll be on dialysis. So I planned for it. That means the government will sit on the money. But I have to talk, so I have to talk.
And even at your at age of 81, you still...
Now he's punishing us. He's punishing us. He's killing us softly. That's it. That's what I can say. So he has to stop. And then exempt us from it.
Wow. So if you had the finance minister before you today, what would you tell him?
I said, I'll tell him, brother, you are killing me softly. So please exempt me from that's what I want to say.
Your message to him.
This is my message. This is my message to him. He's killing me softly. And so he should stop it by exempting us from it. From the
That's 81-year-old pensioner who was invested in government bonds, living with a fourth stage kidney disease, and he is preparing for dialysis. His money is locked up. He says the finance minister is killing him softly. That's the reality of the situation that a number of these pensioners who have invested in government bonds are faced with. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, 18 minutes to the top of the hour. If you just joined us, we've been looking at what's happening in Parliament with Haruna Idrisu, the former minority leader, refusing. Well, he has explained why he did not assume the seat allocated to him in Parliament because of the respect he has for the Honorable Collins Dauda. A number of people who are watching closely how things are playing out in the House after the reshuffle are raising a lot more questions beyond the explanation that Haruna Idrisu gave. We've also been speaking to some of these pensioners who are individual bondholders about what they've been going through after the announcement of their inclusion in the domestic debt exchange program. For the past 4 days, they've been picketing at the premises of the Finance Ministry asking for one thing, a total exemption. So far, there hasn't been any response or answers to their concerns and their demands. Stay with us. Menu Afo Juliana is here with the business news. Good evening to you.
So in business tonight, the Pensioners Bondholder Forum is appealing to government or parliament to compel the finance minister to exempt them from the domestic debt exchange program. Mr. Kenufo-Wiatta is expected to brief the House about the domestic debt restructuring on Tuesday, following an invitation by Speaker Alban Bagwin. A former principal of the National Banking College, Philip Boabeng, a lawyer, said Parliament has to intervene since the executive has failed pensioners. He spoke on Biz Brief a while ago.
Three arms of government, executive, legislature, and judiciary. If there's something being done by the executive and the citizens are not happy, it is just right that the legislature, who are our representatives, should come in to look at the issue for us. So it is perfectly in order that the legislature, the parliament, our representatives, should come in. Actually, we sent a petition, copy of the petition to them. It is total exemption. We want to be exempted just like the pension fund.
Philip Boabeng is a former principal of the National Banking College and a leading member of the Pensioners Bondholder Forum. We stay a while on this subject because it's been 4 days of picketing at the Ministry of Finance for Pensioner Bondholders Forum, as they will not relent until government grants them full exemption from the domestic debt exchange program. One of the pensioners protesting, a 65-year-old Nimako Boateng, told 3 Business he would rather die while protesting than sign on to the debt exchange program. Take a listen to why he made such a strong statement.
I've retired. I'm now in my 9th year in retirement. How much did I get? Is the retirement package that was given to me that I invested in the bond. And because I came out earlier, I was discounted in my salary, the pension salary I get. It's peanuts. So it's this coupon that I get that I use to supplement my retirement. I retired early at the age of 55. My health is at stake. I can feel it in my groin that my legs cannot carry me. In fact, today I'm tired, but I still think it will be better to die on this issue than to let them take my cash. I would prefer to go through this effort, which will serve as a deterrent for the future generation. At least some people died for us in 1948. In our time, we also stand up against such injustice that's being perpetuated on us. To me, I consider it as injustice because we've paid our dues. If they block us, compared to people who are working, the young ones, they are being paid, how they are living. We are not being paid, and then our main source of income, you want to take it away from us. So it means you are forcing us to die. And that's what I'm saying, that I will not forgive him in life after death. If there's something like that exists, I wouldn't. Because here on earth, they are just using by force means to rule us, which is not fair. It's injustice.
Is a pensioner with the Pension Bondholders Forum. Well, away from that, economist Professor John Gachi has warned that using COCOBOD's fixed deposits to honor matured cocoa bills is not sustainable, urging the cocoa regulator to address its cash flow challenges. The stern warning comes as commercial banks settle maturing cocoa bills using COCOBOD's deposits. Bills that matured last month were rolled over without investors' consent, but were subsequently honored after it sparked anxiety among retail investors. The Bank of Ghana used to rescue COCOBOD when it had cash flow challenges, but can no longer do that because an agreement that bars state-owned enterprises from using more central bank finances has been reached with the International Monetary Fund. Cocoa Board has now resorted to using its deposits to honor its matured bills, a situation that Professor Gachi finds worrying.
Cocoa Board has a number of fixed deposits cut across the bank that they deal with. So they have ordered for the banks to use the fixed deposit to pay the maturing bills. If that is not enough, then it means that whatever they are paying is the form of loan to Cocoa Board that Cocoa Board will be paying later. So we are actually arranging for a new loan to pay for the maturing bill.
Professor Gachi said using this arrangement to honor matured cocoa bills indicates Cocoa Board faces a serious cash flow crisis.
Enormity of the liquidity challenges that Cocoa Board is having, and that also talks about the pronounced breach of the Bank of Ghana Act by Bank of Ghana in terms of lending to government and government institutions.
Gachi is Dean of Business School at the University of Cape Coast. And also on the cedi now, the cedi remains largely stable as dollar supply goes up. Bids for the dollar is hovering around 12 cedis 25 pesos and offers slightly up at 12 cedis 45 pesos. Analysts expect the cedi to stay within its range as the market awaits the outcome of the domestic debt exchange program. That's all for the business segment on Hot Edition. I am Menu Afo. Do stay with us.
Juliana Menu Afo, thank you. Well, business news. There's more on 3news.com. The Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, GPCC, has called on President Akufo-Addo to immediately downsize his government machinery and cut down on expenditure to build confidence in his commitment to solving the country's economic problems. The call by the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council follows similar calls by the opposition NDC and several civil society organizations who have advised the government to downsize its cost so as to help in going through this process of debt restructuring. So far, the president has not heeded this advice, and according to the GPCC, downsizing the government and cutting down on expenditure will demonstrate to Ghanaians that the call for burden sharing is not just all talk, but also backed by action. This was contained in a communique, also calling on the government and other stakeholders to collaboratively establish a national dialogue forum for regular consultations and engagement on pertinent matters of national interest. But something connected to issues of accountability, the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, James Klucha-Veggie, has defended the Auditor General for publishing the special audit on government's COVID-19 expenditure, despite contrary views expressed by the Attorney General. Now, if you recall, the Attorney General had insisted that the Auditor General breached the Constitution by releasing the document to the public domain prior to its interrogation by the Public Accounts Committee. In a letter to the Auditor General, Johnson Ekwama Esiedu, the Attorney General, Godfrey Dami, said Article 185 of the 1992 Constitution mandates the Auditor General to submit his report to Parliament, and in that report, draw attention to any irregularities in the accounts as audited. But James Klucha-Veggie indicated that the Auditor General did no wrong.
Towards in that report, then he feel embarrassed or they feel embarrassed. But if the report is clean, if what they have done is clean, I don't think why they should be worried. So by taking this action, then I think that there's something fishy in that report.
You're suspecting that with Attorney General asking the Auditor General to unpublish it, you were suspecting.
Then I think that my suspicion is that there is something fishy in that report. Because
fishy like what?
Well, maybe the report is unearthing something. Okay? I think that discussion on the report in the public domain will not augur well for the government. That is why they are doing that. In any case, the report will come to Public Accounts Committee. The report has been published. It has been issued. So if you don't want the issue to be discussed in the public, it will definitely come to the Public Accounts Committee. And don't forget, any report or document that is laid before Parliament, it becomes public document. So already it's public document. Now, the Constitution didn't say anywhere that a public document, Ghanaians should not make comment on it until it is discussed by or debated by Parliament.
That's James Kluchaveji. He chaired the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament. Oreko Ampofo is here with all the news in the world of sports. Oreko, good evening. It's good to have you, as always.
It's good to have you, Alfred.
There's some movement going on, eh?
Yeah,
the transfer window. It hasn't closed in Ghana.
No.
There's movement.
The second part, very serious movement.
Serious movement.
Yeah. One that has
from which one to which team?
It's sent shockwaves from Accra to Kumasi. So I've given
Accra
you
to Kumasi.
Yeah.
That's never say die.
Yeah.
To Kuma. It reminds me of things of Charles Taylor.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Oh, goodness me. Charles Taylor's movement was just...
It's unimaginable. Maybe this one is not the same pedigree, but this has left a lot of people also wondering, what happened?
Tell us about it. What's going on?
So, it's Mohamed Al-Hassan, who has joined Asante Kotoko on a 1.5-year deal. The centre-back, who is no stranger on the domestic scene, joins the defending champions from rivals Heart of Oak. Ghana Premier League expert Mo Shaban explains why this is a shock transfer.
All right, so with Mohamed Al-Hassan, I think it looks a surprise deal because we all thought that at this age, Mohamed Al-Hassan should go outside to make money. And it has become a norm in Ghana that players move outside to make money when they are growing, right? AJ is a typical example. He went outside. I remember Mustafa Isuman, when he came to Heart of Oak and he picked form, he went outside. A lot of them, so that is a surprise. But it looks like Kotoko have a project for him. He's coming to Kotoko, might not even play for one season. He will be sold outside. They want to make a value out of him, probably.
They're trying their best to, give the platform to Mohamed Al-Hassan, according to Mo Shaban. Still on transfers, and Bechem United have captured perhaps one of the biggest brains behind talent development and identification here in Ghana. They have appointed former technical director of the Ghana Football Association, Francis Ocansey, as the club's new technical director and youth team coach. My colleague Kelvin Owusu-Ansah explains why this is a big step by the club.
Well, I think this is a very good appointment for Bechem United. It adds up to the quality that they already have in Kasim Ocansey, who has been able to produce the best from the young talents that he has. You look at a player like Clinton Dodu, Francis Chene, Emmanuel Avonyo, Hafiz Kunkuni Wanta, Kofi Abeshima, and the goalkeeper who recently departed, that is Idrisu Abdullahi to Azam United in Tanzania. It clearly gives you an indication of the quality that became United World. And with the appointment of Francis Ocansey, the cement us
the appointment of
Kingsley
Ocansey there playing into the project of Bechem United as they try to compete the very best in Ghana. But let's move from the country to overseas now, where Manchester United missed an opportunity to close the gap at the top of the table after their 2-2 draw with Leeds United. Head coach Eric Ten Hag believes mistakes on the night cost them.
First, deal with the ball. That was the first mistake. Deal with the ball. We have good football players, but also make sure that we are playing in the right formation, because there was a problem with the first goal and it was a wrong decision in the movement from one player. And then second, win your battles. Win your battles. And then it's not possible when you concede such goals we did. Third point, the rules. And make sure you are disciplined in the rules, and also in that matter, it's too easy how we concede the goals.
We stay on the English Premier League, and some good news because Tottenham manager Antonio Conte has returned to work early on Thursday after surgery to remove his gallbladder. However, it is not known yet if he will be on the touchline for Saturday's Premier League match at Leicester City. Assistant coach Christian Stellini provides the latest updates.
Antonio is back. This morning was into the pitch with us. He has to take it easy for a bit, but and we were so happy to meet him again in the training ground. The player, he spent time to hug everyone into the training ground, and we didn't speak about his what he would do in the next match. But he's back, and we are happy for that. And we have time to arrive to the game ready also with Antonio.
and you've reminded him that you've got a 100% record. Yeah.
And so Antonio Conte definitely is back. Good news for quite a number of football fans. But just to wrap up on the sports segment, Alfred, it's interesting that an African coach won the domestic league in Morocco, won the CAF Champions League, went to the World Cup, took Morocco all the way to the semi-finals to become the first coach to lead an African team to the final four of the World Cup. And the final three shortlists for the best men's coach put together by FIFA was released just this evening.
There's
and this coach did not make it. Walid Regragui did not make the top three coaches.
Well, that tells you how biased FIFA is.
What
You've
does
held
he have
this.
to do again?
We've all held this opinion for a while, and the evidence is quite clear that they are unashamedly biased, and we don't even know what to do with them. Let's just set up something and, But very cool, thank you.
Thank you to Alfred.
Thank you so much. And Akofa is here with all the updates in the world of entertainment.
That's right. My name is Akof, and coming up on entertainment tonight, Fred Nyama to contest Ayawaso West Wogon constituency parliamentary seat, and Billboard Vibe names Jay-Z as the greatest rapper of all time. Let's settle now for the details. Ghanaian actor Fred Nyama has declared his intention to contest the parliamentary seat for the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency under the ticket of the National Democratic Congress (NDC). A poster with the face of the Ghana Movie Awards CEO has been shared widely on social media earlier today. It is not known who Fred will be running against in the 2024 elections. However, the Ayawaso West Wogon parliamentary seat is currently occupied by the New Patriotic Party's Lydia Al-Hassan. In 2020, Fred's colleague John Dumelo contested the seat against Lydia Al-Hassan, but he lost. Fred Nyama is an actor, film director, and producer, best known for his role in the movie The Game. And on the international front, Billboard and Vibe are jointly stirring up some debates as they name their top 50 greatest rappers of all time. In early 2023, Billboard and Vibe ranked the top 50 greatest rappers of all time as part of their salute to this year's golden anniversary of hip-hop. Now, the rollout began the January 11 reveal of the rappers ranked 50 to 41. They've revealed 10 more rappers each week since, with the final top 10 now unveiled. Now, in determining these rankings, the Billboard and Vibe editorial teams opted first to limit the rap arena to North America. Now, the teams took into account the following criteria, not in any particular order though: body of work, that's the achievements, charted singles, albums, gold, platinum certifications, cultural impact, influence, how the artist's work fostered the genre's evolution, longevity, that's how the number of years they've been behind the microphone, and then lyrics, storytelling skills, and flow, that will be for their vocal prowess. Now, the list of the top 10 greatest rappers of all time, as I mentioned earlier, we're starting from number 10. We've got Nicki Minaj on there. Number 9 has Snoop Dogg. Drake is holding the 8th position. Lil Wayne is at number 7. The Notorious B.I.G. takes the 6th position. Eminem is at number 5, Tupac Shakur at number 4, Nas at number 3, Kendrick Lamar at number 2, and finally at number 1 is Jay-Z. Lots of debates and controversy surrounding this whole thing, because people believe that he has done enough for the hip hop community, but he shouldn't be number 1. So we'll just get some of these stories made headlines
with Tupac in there. I mean, he's always the number 1 for me.
Yeah,
that's number 1
that's
for
number
me.
1
Tupac
for
Shakur is number 1.
You're not the only one though.
Yeah,
and that's it for entertainment, Alfred.
Super. Akofa, you up at 8?
I'm up at 8 with
8
throwback
o'clock.
on Wind
Throwback
Down.
on Wind Down.
Yes.
Super.
Yeah.
Join Akofa at 8 o'clock on 3FM 92.7. Well, thank you so much for staying with us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. As we end, more than 17,000 people are now known to have died after Monday's earthquakes in southern Turkey and northern Syria. Without shelter, water, fuel, or electricity, the World Health Organization fears many survivors could yet lose their lives. We're keeping tabs on what's happening there. There's more on 3news.com. On behalf of the rest of the team, thank you for staying with us.